welcome to another interview. We're having a very nice conversation today with David Garonzik. He has been a projectionist since he was 19. He has ran some of the most in-demand screening rooms in Hollywood. David's depth of knowledge of film invites privileged interaction with both the world of top filmmakers and emerging talent alike. While running Merrimack screening room, David screamed, "The harder they come," and it became a cinema mantra for him. He in turn set out to write and direct a children's musical set on the island of Jamaica using best reggae music. While doing research in Jamaica for his project, David had the opportunity to meet Perry Hensel, the filmmaker who has changed his life in the process, as soon learned about No Place Like Home, Hensel's long-lost follow-up feature to The Harder They Come. David was determined to help locate the film's negative, and that had been missing for over 30 years. He succeeded and then went on to organize the restoration and finishing of the film with Hensel. David followed No Place Like Home with Man Free, a documentary about people of Jamaica, and we did do an interview on that particular subject matter, so it's in the archive, guys, if you want to see, hear that particular interview. Directed by Kingsley Beck, the film teamed Garonzik once again with Oliver Stone's editor Alexis Chavez, who also edited No Place Like Home. Garonzik is currently based at Dick Clark Productions, managing their screening and DI facilities. The syndicated TV series, The Projectionist, is in active development. My co-host, Chris Daly, will be doing the interview, so take it away, Chris.
Hey, thanks, Denise. And David, welcome to our dialogue. It's good to have you again.
Thank you, guys. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Again, so those who might be hearing you for the first time, we want to reestablish your affinity with Jamaica. How does, with Jamaica and Jamaicans? Give us the backstory of this association.
Well, Jamaica came to me through The Harder They Come. I knew nothing about the island or the people. It wasn't until one day when I watched The Harder They Come that I said, I got to get to that island. And it was a pursuit to find the filmmaker. And in the process of finding the filmmaker, and going to the island, it just felt like this was home. And the more I keep going back to Jamaica, it becomes more and more, it becomes more and more like home for me.
Wow. It seems like this relationship has evolved over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this relationship definitely has evolved over the years. Also because, the more you go back, the more friends you develop, the more places you get to visit, so you get to, see more of the island, whether, you go from Kingston to Negril to Treasure Beach to Ochi, you just get to meet a variety of different people and have a good bond amongst them. So yeah, again, it's just something that's really grown over the years.
Yeah, that's great. We know one of the consequential things that really put this relationship in this stratosphere is your meeting with Perry Hensel, the filmmaker, and that led to the surf of this long-lost film strip. It sparked a renewed interest in No Place Like Home and bringing Perry's name back into the consciousness of commercial cinema. Your involvement there was very key. Share a little about the backstory of that engagement.
Well, yeah. So basically, when I had gone to Jamaica and met Perry, I knew of this lost film. It was always sort of an urban legend. People had heard about it or talked about it, but it wasn't until I started pursuing it that the reality of this film might actually exist. And then when that happened, again, it was a huge moment for me.
Yeah. So you scoured the place. You hired a detective. How did you go about such a pretty dedicated, focused pursuit?
Actually, it was more on the side of for that credit, I really have to give Perry's daughter, Justine Hensel, credit. She, when the family thought that the film was lost and never to be returned again, and the last time Perry had gotten word in New York City, where the film had been vaulted, that the film was lost, he said, "I will never say the name No Place Like Home again." But I really, it was really Justine Hensel, Perry's daughter, who kept reaching out and kept searching and sending out emails. When it took about a year and a half later, when someone I think actually responded back from Universal saying, we might know where there might be some footage. And at that same time, I was in communication with Perry and the family, also trying to set up, the different resources he would need to make this film, to at least finish it. Again, we didn't even know what was going to be in the boxes when we got them. We didn't know if the film was going to be all dissolved and deteriorated.
Right. Well, it seemed like it's on its way. So what's the future of this work, and when will the public be able to see it?
Yeah. Say that again?
So, this work is being restored and finished. When will the public be able to actually see this work?
We are hoping for summer. That's we've been working on this. We've been working on this for quite a bit over the past year, just trying to polish it and get it ready and do some more restoration that never could have been done in 2006. So we're hoping summer. That seems to be the word.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. There's also No Place Like Home, and it kind of reflects a strong prophetic nature of Perry's vision and what has become of Jamaica, from its beaches to the land grab to the building of all the resorts. What can you share about this film?
I mean, it's amazing considering that Perry had, when you think about Jamaica at that time, not more than 10 years after its independence, and the fact that here Perry was going to make a feature film where everything he needed was going to have to be imported, the films, the cameras, everything. And so the fact that he would make a film about his own island, and then the fact that what would eventually become, so here he is documenting, there's footage in the film of Negril Beach when it was still just 7 Mile Beach, not a single hotel on the beach. And he talks about the community politics of, how, the fixers and the local guys who know that, that the police and the government are going to try and grab that land from the people that have settled those beaches and use it to start building the big all-inclusive resorts. And that's something that, so here Perry's, documenting, but it actually all did come to be. It did end up happening, and it's happening all over the world, in most places where they realize that, beaches of that nature, like Negril Beach, is worth, 10 oil fields because of how much resources it brings in terms of tourism.
So most of that resource now is being put in somebody else's pocket versus a local economy being getting the advantage of that or developed by it.
Absolutely. It's again, and this is 1973 when Perry's talking about it. And it's about driving the locals who have been living on those beaches for years and just renting out their rooms to tourists who come to town. And using force to drive them off the beach and grab that land. Has Yeah, and there's it's around No Place Like Home. Perry documents a lot of he has sections in there all about the extreme bauxite mining, and how much, how heavy all the bauxite mining and how it was, destroying some of the interior with over mining and, the commercialization of parts of Jamaica. So when I say prophetic, that's what I mean. Here he is, just 10, 11, 12 years after Jamaica's independence and putting this on film, having a difficult enough time just finding the resources to make the film, and everything that he's talking about eventually did come to be some, 30, 40 years later.
Wow. Yeah, that he had insight and a vision and trying to arouse people's consciousness by using this medium. Well, we hope that, that folks can learn from it. We also had a recent loss of countryman. He passed recently. He's of a significant to Jamaican's movie industry. Tell us why is that significant. Tell our audience why is that significant, and any insight that you would have about Countryman.
Well, for me, Countryman is really Jamaica's only movie star. Now, Countrymen say, that he was both a fisherman and a movie star. So I always thought, so he was still always, Rasta and rootsy on that aspect. He always knew that he was a fisherman from Hellshire Beach. But, when Dickie Jobson, made Countryman, here, he sort of branded Countryman as a star. But it was Perry who had actually used Countryman prior in No Place Like Home. So that's the other blessing about No Place Like Home. Once it gets released, is people will get to see Countryman before he was actually, the star of his own movie. Not many Rasta fishermen, get to be the star of their own film.
Exactly. That's neat.
And he was, he was very verbal. He was very, he could quote scripture. He was like a poet. That was really, his strong point. And I know, everybody in, amongst that film community absolutely loved him.
That's neat. You have a unique perspective on this film and movie industry, given what your passion has been and where you work. Where do you see Jamaican movie industry going? As it could have a certain opportunity to bring employment and capture some of the creative arts that we do have in the island.
You mean in terms of Jamaica's film industry, or just in the global sense?
Jamaica. Let's talk with Jamaica industry first, and then we'll look at some of what's happening globally that's having impact. My feeling is the only way Jamaica can compete, in the film market and get more film productions there is they have to offer tax incentives, and that's the one thing that they don't do or they push back on. Because a lot of production companies that are looking to shoot in a tropical environment, let's say, or in an island environment, they look for the islands that'll give them a tax incentive, just like here in the U.S., where they'll go to a state that offers tax incentives, just because it's so expensive to make a movie to begin with. So it's unfortunate because it just means less and less productions get to Jamaica, and they have a great, Jamaica has an amazing infrastructure of talent, between, like Natalie Thompson, Maxine Walters, Perry's daughter, Justine Hensel, Chris Brownie. These are all incredibly talented production people. So, who can put up resources to make a film. It's just, for some reason, Jamaica financially makes it difficult. So instead of, let's say, an American production or European production would just look to Trinidad or Barbados or Dominican. I know Trinidad. Trinidad has made some very focused investments to actually bring that, and I guess Jamaicans haven't really seen the need to do that. It could be a great missed opportunity given the brand of the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, as I said, much about Hollywood given where you live right now. There's Nollywood, there's Bollywood. given Jamaica's brand, how, apart from making that investment, are the other things you think we should be doing to develop its own unique brand?
Yeah, and again, my feeling is, and sometimes to the detriment of, let's say, a film like The Harder They Come, because The Harder They Come is because it is such a Jamaican film, that all the generations that followed, all the Jamaican filmmakers that followed, all sort of mimicked that gangster genre. Let's right. that sort of shanty, Kingston, ghetto, the corrugated rooftops, and with the Dons and the gangsters. If Jamaica right. had a film come out after, such as No Place Like Home, which is what should have happened, had it come out when it was supposed to, at least Jamaicans would have had another view of themselves. They could have seen their island more from the countryside, or more from the romantic side, and maybe the younger writers now would at least be able to sort of rethink their own image in film. Because in the end, all Perry did was just make a gangster movie, just a straight out American Western gangster movie. That's the genre, but just did it all in Jamaica with a Jamaican cast and crew, and that's how it works, as if you do a genre. But there's plenty of other genres to do. You could do a musical, you could do a romantic comedy, you could do a science fiction movie, and so. But for some reason, the Jamaican mindset, when it comes to film, they still always look to The Harder They Come and Shot Us and the other gangster films. They have a tough time breaking that mold.
Well, the Disney folks took the historical angle and developed the Caribbean theme, the pirate theme, which is, it's a historical gangster kind of stuff. But it seemed like we've never even consider that as a different creative means of expressing the island's culture.
Right.
Yes. So one thing about the Disney, it's instead of using something like a mango, it uses an apple. So what's the apple doing in Jamaica like that? And we've always resented that. Yeah. Well, technology is certainly, there are two major movements taking place within the film industry. One is technology, such as the internet, that's lowering the barrier of sorts for people to really get into, for new folks to have a low barrier entry. What does that do to enable new possibilities for us?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again? I am sorry about that.
Yeah, not a problem. It's that there's new technologies coming along that, especially within the distribution and video creation, that it's lowering the kind of capital requirements to do that of sorts, some films. And it provides folks who may not are very capital intensive to a low entry point in the marketplace. Are there a set of films that we can be producing using a lower set of technologies that are still of good quality and can still be a means of expression or creativity?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely. But the only problem I see is that because the market has gotten so competitive, once, when it was film, only a handful of people could do it. It was expensive and required, skill set. Once we went digital, everybody could do it, but they still need to learn, the language, because, and again, almost like musical notes, film is a language, whether you're going to do a long shot to a medium to a close-up, and how all those interplay. So as long as, and I don't know how much film education is happening on the island of Jamaica. I don't know if the West Indies University are teaching film classes, but it would be great to know that at least the younger generation are learning about the films and the techniques and the genres, that are happening in the U.S. and in Europe and around the rest of the world. So at least they can apply those techniques and make films about, about their life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because again, if you don't know the techniques, then, you can come out with a film that just doesn't have the skills to break through the marketplace, just because, again, it is so competitive. There are so many people making films now because of, both, the digital platforms, all the streaming outlets. So people have a lot more opportunity to get their film out there, but it's making sure that they have the skills and the quality to do it.
One movement and one mega movement took place in the last week. We're talking here in the third week of October, where we see the content providers are getting married up with the distributors, with AT&T and another mega company like Time Warner getting together. What does that represent for the marketplace from your perspective, and how could that affect smaller markets like the Jamaican market?
Well, with that, that's a great question. I mean, I really wouldn't know how to answer a question like that with such a big corporate merger. All I know is, every time there's a big corporate merger, 10 smaller companies sort of pop up and offer opportunities for alternative content or other films, to be able to be platformed and shown outside the island. So, all I know is when it comes to the big corporate mergers, it's just, it gets harder to get the money. It's always harder to get the money. That's always the challenge for any filmmaker. It's always, like Orson Welles would say, it's 10% making the movie and 90% trying to get the money.
And it's now both the content providers and the distributors getting together, which means they all the two major pieces of the ecosystem. That makes it pretty compelling.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate, David, we really appreciate your wisdom and the insight that you bring. As we close, do you have any final wisdom to share with us? Again, I don't know how it happened, but for 13 years now, my heart and my love has been with the island of Jamaica. It could have been anywhere. I could have fallen in love with, Indian film or Japanese film, but it just happened to be Jamaican film, and it started with Perry, who's the grandfather of all Jamaican cinema, and I just would love to see, I would love to see more young people in Jamaica studying more genres of films from around the world and really applying that to their own life and their own filmmaking techniques. Well, I hope that the passion you bring to this and, will spark some creativity that we'll be able to follow through in some of those keen insights you've shared with us tonight, David.
Oh, thank you.
And to learn more about Chris Daly, visit Digital2, that's the number 2, growmedia.com. To learn about Jamaican Diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com. And to learn more about David, he can be found on Facebook at Dick Clark Screening Room. David, we really enjoyed spending some time with you. Bye now.